This powder was sold openly on the shelves of ordinary stores. It was called bath salts. It was Mephedrone, and no one nearby could guess what was on the shelf. It was created back in 1929, but was forgotten for 70 years. One anonymous chemist discovered the formula, reworked it, and published a report on his own testing. In 2010, Mephedrone became the sixth most popular club drug in Europe, after tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana. It was snorted right at parties, openly, without embarrassment. Authorities banned it in many countries simultaneously, but it had little effect. 3/4 of those who had already tried it continued using it after the ban, only now through the dark web. Today, it is produced illegally, and no one controls the ingredients. The purchased powder can contain anything, and this is another reason why people die. In appearance, it is an ordinary white powder or crystals. It's snorted, swallowed, and mixed with alcohol to enhance the effect, though this combination dramatically increases the risk of death. If you think this is a story about distant lands and strangers, wait a minute. Mephedrone is now one of the most accessible drugs in the world, and the price of entry is pennies. Its primary users are young people between the ages of 16 and 30, those who simply wanted to have fun at a party and didn't expect it to turn into anything more. Why does Mephedrone take over the brain so quickly and so powerfully? Because it simultaneously attacks two main pleasure centers, those responsible for desire and happiness. One center controls motivation and anticipation. The other, feelings of warmth, closeness, and joy. Mephedrone affects both simultaneously, squeezing out the maximum in a matter of minutes. After such a shock, the brain is unable to generate these signals independently. It awaits the next dose, like a command to start. Without it, there's only emptiness and mounting anxiety. That's why after the first use, a person already wants to repeat it. Not because they are weak. Simply, in one evening, the brain has been rewired to a new and sole source of joy. After just 3 to 5 uses, the body physically adapts. The areas of the brain that previously handled the joy of food, laughter, and social interaction begin to shut down forever. The person stops experiencing pleasure from anything except the drug. For some addicts, this state remains permanent, even after they completely quit the drug. The brain literally forgets how to experience joy on its own. This is visible in medical images. The areas responsible for joy darken and stop working. Whether this is reversible depends on how far the condition has progressed. What happens to the psyche if you take Mephedrone for months? Hallucinations, paranoia, and delusions of persecution are not uncommon. This is a common occurrence for those who don't stop in time. The person begins to hear voices, see shadows, and fear everyone around them. Sometimes this goes away after quitting, but for some people, these symptoms remain permanently, with no way to return to normal. There are documented cases where several months of use led to a condition indistinguishable from a severe mental disorder. The person was hospitalized and never returned to their former life. Memory begins to crumble. First, the events of the last few hours disappear, then weeks. The person doesn't remember what happened in the morning, and this is not an exaggeration, but a documented medical fact. The humor becomes flat, speech slow, reactions dull. People who knew the person before say the same thing. This is a different person. The one they knew is gone. These changes can be irreversible, even if the person quits. Some addicts require lifelong psychiatric care, not as an exception, but as a natural consequence. The most frightening thing is that in the early stages, a person feels better, smarter, more sociable. It is precisely this false clarity that keeps them hooked while the destruction comes from within.
Look at this bit of stage magic.
What does Mephedrone withdrawal feel like? It's much worse than most people imagine. Muscles cramp, the heart beats out of rhythm, and the person can't find a place to rest. Blood pressure spikes, you break out in a sweat, and feel nauseous. But the hardest part isn't physical. It's a black void inside, impossible to escape alone. The brain, accustomed to an artificial burst of happiness, now produces none at all. Nothing brings joy. Food tastes bad, the sun doesn't warm, people irritate you, and this lasts for weeks. It's during this period that most relapses occur. The person knows that one dose will take it all away right now. This is the trap. Escaping the pain leads straight back into addiction. According to addiction specialists, people with severe addiction live on average about 5 years after starting regular use. The cause of death is most often cardiac arrest. Yet, most addicts remain convinced to the very end that they are in control. This very confidence is one of the key signs that control has long been lost. Treatment requires complete isolation, cleansing the body of the toxin, and long-term work with a psychologist. Very few people manage to quit on their own, not because they lack willpower, but because the brain has been chemically altered. Even after successful treatment, cravings can return for years. Smell, music, place, any random cue can reactivate the desire. It's not a weakness, it's biology. How did Mephedrone become accessible to any teenager? Through a system of secret drop-off points. No personal contact with the seller, no risk of meeting face-to-face. The buyer transfers money, receives precise coordinates, and finds a packet under a rock or behind a pipe. No face, no conversation, no opportunity to stop and change their mind. Schoolchildren, among others, use this scheme. The barrier to entry is almost zero. The price is minimal. Anonymity is complete. The perfect system for discreetly hooking someone. The sellers themselves often don't understand what they're dealing with. Some of them are fellow addicts who started selling to finance their own next fix. The chain is closed. Addicts create addicts. No one planned to become part of this system. No one thought their first party would end this way. Mephedrone isn't a story about distant people in back alleys. It's a story about those sitting nearby. And the sooner you know about this, the better your chances of avoiding this trap. Thousands of people lose themselves every year to a substance that was once considered simply a way to have fun. Share this with those who need to know. We explore topics that are rarely discussed out loud, but which affect us all. Subscribe to the channel and watch other episodes. It's important.